My name is Susan. I recognize some of you guys. You've been to some of my lectures. We're going to talk about meal prep today, and so instead of this being like a lecture like we typically do, I do like to have a discussion about meal prep, because I think there's probably a lot that we can learn, and it includes, what group is that?
That is Machias.
And including Machias, if you guys have anything you want to add that works for you with the meal prep, and ask questions in the middle, because this is just a discussion. I don't have a PowerPoint presentation, but you have the information. So, yeah. So, meal prep. You guys, who's good at doing the meal prep? Okay, so that explains why you guys are here, right?
Yeah.
What is it about you that interests, that you're interested in learning, as far as meal prep?
Someone to eat the same food for 5 or 6 days straight.
Ah, okay, yes, because that gets boring, doesn't it? Yeah, okay. What else?
Simple. I like simple.
You like simple, yes. There's,
And quick.
oh God, there's just so many different recipes out there. Like there's one recipe in that handout that I think I'm gonna try this weekend. And it's like 4 ingredients. It's the chicken with the salsa in the crock pot. I mean, that's just, crock pot cooking doesn't get any easier than that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. What else? Have you guys done any research? Have you looked into that? Do you guys own a slow cooker or an Instapot or a rice cooker? Okay. You, oh, an Instapot?
Yep.
Okay, how's
Only
that?
used it once,
Oh. And why is that?
because it didn't come out like I had planned.
Oh, really? What happened?
It wasn't, so I thought the meat was gonna be like a fall apart, you know, like a crock pot. and
Right.
It wasn't,
Ah, okay. Yes.
wasn't very
What-
good.
It's interesting because I read somewhere that if you want it to be easily shredded, you have to cook it a little longer.
In the
So
spot, okay.
instead of bringing, like chicken, for example, you bring up to 165 degrees, and that you know it's pretty much cooked. But if you bring it to 175 degrees or 180, then you can shred it. Okay, it might be a little drier, but it would be shreddable. Yeah, so you might want to try that in a crock pot next time.
Okay.
Because, and I don't have an Instapot, but boy, I tell you, I want to get one of those. Because they look, I mean, it's one of those things where you can just throw, like, if you want to cook a bunch of quinoa, throw a bunch of quinoa in there and leave it for a while. You know, I mean, there's definitely convenience. So, and, oh, we've been joined by another group? Okay. So yeah, so what else? What other things that interest you guys? We want easy, we want variety. Quick, yeah, exactly, yeah. So do you guys cook dinner on the weekends, or do you cook your breakfast? Is that something that, you know, I mean, you cook a bunch of breakfasts to save yourself some time in the morning? Because I know that a lot of people don't eat breakfast because they don't have time.
I cook breakfast every morning, that's like my habit.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
It's
habit.
probably my best meal of the day.
Okay, all right. Do you do any prepping with that?
I might make bacon or sausage the night before.
Okay.
Warm up, But
Yep.
I do like frozen potatoes and then.
Okay, yeah, that's a great way to get something done in the morning, for sure. Okay.
Can you
So,
hear me now?
Yep.
yes,
I guess it's not on.
there we go. Okay, so today we're going to talk about meal prepping. Like, it's basically the act of prepping your meals. It's as simple as that, okay? And actually, in a lot of my research, I realized that meal prepping can be easy. You have to have a plan, right? So you have to figure out what it is that you want. We'll talk about that. But why do you want a meal prep? Why? To save time, right? What else does it do? Saves you money, right? Yeah, exactly. So we all want to save money, especially on food. I mean, we know it can be expensive if you go out to dinner or you go out to lunch every day. So making meals ahead of time is a great way to save yourself some money, okay? And more importantly, what else?
You know what's in your food.
Exactly, yeah, you know what's in your food. You're cooking healthy food. You're the ones that have control over that versus going out to dinner where you have no control, right? So, having said that, what do you think are some good foods that you guys have used to prep that would be good for meal prep?
Soups.
Soups, yep, yep. So veggies, frozen veggies, things like that that you can cut up, yep, absolutely. What else?
Chicken.
Chicken, yes. Chicken is always great. You just throw a bunch in a crock pot and boom, there you go. Yeah. What else? What are some other good staples that you can use for meal prep?
Rice.
Rice, yeah.
Beans.
Right? Beans, yes, absolutely, yep. Quinoa, yep.
I can't see.
Okay, there we go. All right, good. So any of you guys, if you do have any questions, you can take yourself off mute, but obviously we want to leave it off mute. Yeah, on mute, okay? One thing that I think is a good idea is roasting your vegetables, right? Just do like a sheet pan roast, and then you can use those for either a side dish or you can add them to another dish. That's a good sort of staple to use. Let's see, nuts and seeds, things like that. So having an idea of what you can use, so if you're looking for variety, have a bunch of different things, staples at home that maybe don't need to be refrigerated, that you can add to your meals, okay? But there are a lot of great things. Cooked grains and pasta. Pasta is also a really good one too. Rice you can throw in anything. Soups, salads, things like that. So, and sauces. Right? I mean, I was talking about the recipe in the meal prep, the chicken and salsa. You just throw it in the crock pot. There must be some other things to it, but it seems like an easy thing. So having salsa or pico de gallo on hand, also good to add in soups. I make a black bean soup that takes a little pico de gallo and beans and some broth, and it's so easy to make. And it keeps for a while too. So having that. So I know another question that people ask is how long does food stay good, right? If you're going to meal prep for a week, how long is it? What do you guys think?
No more than a week.
Yeah, no more than a week.
Probably if I was on Monday, I probably would need it after Friday.
Okay, right. So maybe like 3 or 4 days, okay? Plan, to keep that food, because it will start to deteriorate depending on what it is, unless you throw it in the freezer, right? Yeah.
Question for you, on all the stuff that you buy now, it has destroy dates. Not to be used after. Where do those dates come from? Do they just make them up to stamp them on there, or is there really a science based on it?
I don't know if there's a science based on it, because I've eaten, like I had some of those little applesauce packs, that they have for kids,
Yeah.
and they had expired, and I knew my niece and nephew wouldn't eat them, so I ate them and they tasted just fine a year later. So, I think they just throw those on. It could be an FDA thing, but I think it's just a guideline.
Okay.
I don't necessarily, there are certain things, obviously, that you don't, if it smells bad, obviously you don't want to eat it.
Mhm.
But some of those things that are prepackaged are probably okay.
No
Okay,
M&Ms.
thanks.
No? Oh, no. You kept M&Ms in your house for over a year and they didn't taste good? Oh.
That was a good thing.
Yeah, Twizzlers don't work either. Exactly. So you want to think about like 3 or 4 days, okay? So if you're meal prepping, maybe doing a couple days a week might actually be a good option. So some people will pick a Sunday and a Wednesday to meal prep, and that way you've got 3 or 4 days. So your food's not going to go bad. It's not going to sit around, like I said, unless you make a bunch and it goes in the freezer. That's a whole other option for you. But think about
If you, this is Augusta, if you take your food and like when you have an abundance of peppers or onions or whatever, you can dehydrate them. And then you can put them in dry storage. You can have them anytime you want a soup or whatever, and it stores for years.
Oh, that's great. That's a good idea. Yeah, you got to have obviously a dehydrator, but something like that, dehydrated veggies is good too. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yep. I think basic thing you want to start with, have you guys ever done this before? Have you ever focused on meal prepping Set your plan, all that, no? Okay, so this is kind of a good start for you. All right, so kind of meal prep 101. Pick one meal, okay, that maybe you don't, maybe it's kind of a tough meal for you. So what would be a tough meal? To me, I think it would be dinner, because most people get home, at least I get home from work and I don't wanna cook dinner, right? What else? Do you have another meal that you?
Lunches too.
Lunches,
You
yeah.
don't have to go out to lunch.
Yeah, exactly. So doing a little prep. Yeah. So I would suggest you pick one meal to start, where you're just kind of learning this, and as you grow, obviously you're gonna be able to pick 2 meals or even all 3 meals depending on what you like to eat. But I would pick with one meal that kind of gives you some difficulty and focus on that. And then, like I said, pick a day. Maybe it's on the weekends where you've got some help. Does anybody cook up batches of food on the weekends?
Saturday
Yeah.
morning.
Okay, Sunday morning. So what do you typically do?
I go to Walmart 6 o'clock in the morning and I buy everything I need and I make it all, and then by Wednesday I'm like, oh my gosh, I have so much food. I make like a chili and then like a lasagna, so yeah.
Okay, all right. But you get bored,
Uh-huh.
right? So you want to have something different. Okay. So I'm going to show you later on a website that I found this morning that kind of gives you some ideas of how you can take your staples and make through the week different recipes. So you can kind of play around with that and see. But there's so many websites out there. Have you guys looked online? I mean, you just Google meal prep. Yeah, pick it up. So again, the website, there's a lot of great information, and there's so many great websites out there. I mean, it's overwhelming. How many people have blogs that help you kind of figure out what things that you are going to be great for cooking, foods that go together, some recipes, using a slow cooker, using an Instapot, sheet pan, freezing, whatever it is. And now that we're getting into the cold season, it's definitely, we got more time to spend inside to make our meals, so yeah. Like I said, choose a familiar recipe. Start with that, okay? So if it's lunches that you struggle with, choose something that like, I don't know, maybe it's your sandwiches and you have wraps, but you choose different things to add to each wrap each day. And so maybe you have like turkey in it one day, but then like vegetables in another. Try different recipes. And the other thing is, one of the keys to doing some good meal prep is having proper containers, okay? So I bought this, these things are great. You wanna make sure that you've got something that's see-through, okay? So you can see your food, you know what's in it. You also wanna make sure you pick something that's dishwasher safe, freezer safe, and microwave safe, okay? So you can pick glass. These are actually hard plastic. These weren't super expensive. And what's great about them is that they seal really well. There's kind of a rubber thing around the cover that works really well. And they seal, and they're going to keep your food nice and safe. And then this one here, which is great, it has compartments in it. And this I think is more for salads, but you could use it for anything. You've got for your dressing in here, and then this comes out. So something like this is a great way to kind of separate maybe some wet from dry ingredients. That's, it's important obviously, but you want to make sure you have good containers. You can also use, and I know a lot of people will make, did you guys see these? I know I have my back to you and I want to make sure I don't have my back to you.
Yes, we can see them.
Okay, good. You can also use mason jars, right? Anybody use those for like overnight oats or anything like that? There's
Yes.
Yes,
They're
they're great. And actually, one of the recipes that I have for you guys is the fruit on the bottom overnight oats, which you can use in those mason jars. Somebody also came out with a recipe years ago with the salads in the mason jars, and you can make ahead a bunch of salads You can even put the dressing on the bottom and then kind of shake it up when you're ready to eat the salad. So that's another option, okay? And then freezer bags. Freezer bags are always good. So sometimes you want to put, like, whether it's cut up vegetables and just leave it in the freezer bag and throw it in the freezer, or you can put sauce. Typically you don't want to put two different sauces in them, but there's certain things like coconut milk you probably wouldn't want to put in there and freeze. But like if it's like a different kind of sauce, like maybe a tomato-based sauce, you could probably freeze that, so that would be good, okay? Again, and this is all in your handout, pick a meal, okay? Whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, whatever you feel gives you the most trouble, obviously. And have a theme, which I think is pretty interesting. So, for example, Meatless Mondays, right? You go vegetarian on Mondays. That's a great way. That way you know, okay, I don't have to have chicken, I don't have to have fish, I don't have to have steak. I just need to have, maybe some plant-based protein and some veggies, and there's my Meatless Monday. And that saves you some money for sure, because you don't have to spend the money on meat. But have a theme for each day, or 3 days. I like slow cooker Saturday, because then that's an easy thing to do. You put everything in, you're home, you're doing stuff, and it's done by the time you're done doing your chores, okay? Has anybody ever done that? Anybody?
All the time.
All the time? Yeah. Do you have a slow cooker?
I have 3 of them.
Oh, you have that? All right.
That's why they teach this class.
Then you're the queen of slow cookers. But yeah, something like that, or even like an Instapot. You have an Instapot. Anybody else have an Instapot? Boy, those things look so cool.
I use a pressure cooker, isn't that
It's
sort
the
of
same-
like a
it's the
very
same
similar-
idea.
Instapot's this pressure cooker on steroids.
Yes, exactly. I was looking at them online. Some you can make a cake in them. Some you can cook eggs. I mean, there's a lot of, if you get like a really fancy one, there's a lot of different options for it. But yes, it's a slow cooker on steroids. So it works. Pressure cooker, yes. So yeah. You also want to sort of have, start with a single recipe, okay? You know how some recipes will have all these different ingredients. Start with your protein, your grain, and a vegetable. Start with something simple to make it easier, especially where you're just kind of learning this whole process. And then create a shopping list. So if you've got your meal plan, then write down all your ingredients for each thing that you're going to do, and then use that as your shopping list. Because we've all gone to the grocery store hungry, and we've come home with a bunch of stuff that we didn't need. This way, you're not wasting your money on stuff that you don't need. So that's an option. And then step 3 is just prepping your meals. Once you have all the ingredients, you know what you're going to do. Figure out whether you're going to freeze things, you're going to cook a bunch of stuff, and then have different ingredients to change the recipes a little bit, or you're going to eat the same meal 3 days in a row. Some people are okay with that, and that's fine. I pretty much eat the same breakfast every day, and I'm okay with that, but some people get bored pretty quickly, so use some variety with that, okay? The other thing you want to make sure you do is take a look in your fridge and your pantry before you go to the grocery store, because there might be something that you have. You can say, oh, I've got a box of quinoa. What can I do? And I've got some beans. What can I do with quinoa and beans? What can I add to it? Add to veggies, I can add some chicken to it, whatever it is, okay? But use that and try and get creative. The other thing is you can use a meal prep formula. So for example, what I mean by a meal prep formula is if you have like a basic formula where I kind of touch base on it, you've got a protein, a grain, and a vegetable, okay? If you want to go like low carb, you could do protein and 2 vegetables, okay? And so you make it simple. You've got 1 protein, 1 vegetable, 1 grain, and that's your meal, okay? It kind of takes the difficulty out of figuring out what to do, okay? Or if you went vegetarian, if you were a vegetarian, you could do legume, grain, and a vegetable, okay? So think about what your formula is, kind of make a science out of it and figure out what for each option, okay?
So do you plan your meals out for the entire week?
I do sometimes, yeah, I do. I mean, it makes it easier, because especially before you go to the grocery store. And then you don't have to keep going back to the grocery store, so it's easy. And I mean, planning just saves a lot of time, and it's definitely gonna make you eat healthier foods. So, you know, you come home from work, and if you haven't planned Wednesday's meal, what are you gonna do?
Pizza.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's just always so much easier if you have a plan. Anybody else plan their meals? Yeah, okay. Do you have themes for any days?
No, not really themes. Well, there's always Taco Tuesday.
Yeah.
There's always
Yeah, exactly.
well, not taco salad, because I don't like tacos, but.
Yeah, okay.
I found is joining one of those CSAs.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
You've driven me to have to find new recipes. Look at
yes.
these vegetables, I don't know what to do with.
Right,
I
exactly.
gotta look them up, like, okay, what can I do with, you know,
What can I do with a rutabaga?
right, what can I do with a rutabaga?
Yes, well, roasted is always good, or put it in a
People,
stew.
yeah, you can also ask people and they give you suggestions.
Yes, exactly. And like I said, there's so much information online. There's so many different recipes. Everybody and their brother has a blog. So you can't go wrong with that. And there's some great websites like eatingwell.com has some great things. And they'll have like three ingredient recipes to save you some time, quick, easy meals, things like that. So yeah, there's definitely a lot that you can find online for sure. And then with those basic meal plans, right, you can have a bunch of other toppings like seeds or nuts, avocados, yogurt and sour cream mix. You can add a bunch of different things to that to add a little bit of variety to your food. Okay, but you've got at least a basic plan, and then you can go back and kind of play around with it and see what you can add. Spices, herbs are always great to add, and spices are always great to add because they're healthy for you, better than, you know, other certain sauces that maybe have sugar in them or things like that. Okay. Anybody at the other groups have anything to add? No. Okay. So there's different ways that you can have your meal preps. So different strategies that you can kind of tackle this. And I put this in the handout. One of them is kind of a buffet style where you chop up a bunch of veggies. Maybe you spiralize some zucchini or squash and have that. Anybody ever have meatballs with spiralized zucchini and squash? Oh, it is so good. Yeah, that's a great way to cut down on your starch. Instead of using pasta, you use vegetables. So those things are great. You can buy spiralized zucchini and squash in the grocery store. Or if you have a spiralizer at home, you can use that too. But that's a great, with meatballs, oh, and that's easy. All you do is cook up add a little, warm up some meatballs, and boom, there you go, and that's an easy meal, okay? But yeah, roasting veggies ahead of time, you can add those to so many different things, okay? Making sure you mix some of your vinaigrettes and sauces together ahead of time, like on the weekends, as long as they're gonna keep for a few days. And again, something like one of these, containers will definitely help keep them a little bit more shelf stable or stable. Cook up, pastas, grains, wild rice. You can cook those in a rice cooker or an Instapot or something like that, or even on the stovetop, and have that to add to different meals. So that's your buffet style. You do a bunch of different things. I put a quick, easy recipe of Greek seasoning that you can add to your chicken, your fish, or your veggies. So it's just something that you can have on hand. It keeps for a few weeks, and it's a great way to add some spices, to spice it up a little bit. So if you get bored with something, you can add that, right? And then you've got batch cooking, which I think, is a great thing to do on Sundays. You cook up a bunch of food, right? And you have that, again, during the week. So you can cook up a bunch of beans, a bunch of vegetables, a soup or stew, cook a whole chicken, right? Throw that in the, I put a crock pot chicken recipe in there. Cook a whole chicken in a crock pot or the Instapot. And you can either shred it, cook it enough so you can shred it, or just cook it and just kind of cut it up, and you can have it for different things, whether you're making a chicken soup or you're making a casserole with chicken in it, but doing that, cooking up a whole bunch of chicken all at once, okay? Cooking the chicken is good in the crock pot if you've got a ton of chicken that you want to cook. And it's not all sitting in the bottom of the crock pot. You want to add a sauce to it so that it doesn't dry out. But if you have like a big enough crock pot and everything kind of hits the bottom, and they're not layered on top, then you don't really need any liquid, okay, because the liquid would be enough. But if you've got like 5 chicken breasts in there and they're all kind of layered, then just add a little bit of sauce. Or chicken broth, something like that. Or vegetable broth, something like that would work too. But I love black beans, and I think beans are such a great thing, or even like legumes or even quinoa is a great way to get a little more vegetable protein in your meal. Because a lot of people don't, I don't know, are you guys people that like, you eat vegetables? Vegetables we know are good for us, but you think, to me, I used to think this, vegetables aren't going to fill me up. Right? Like a salad, it's not going to fill you up kind of thing. But you can add that extra protein, which is going to help fill it up, okay? You can assemble a bunch of ingredients ahead of time for cooking, okay? And this is, I think, a great way for soups. These are things that you can stick in the freezer, right? So maybe you make a chicken soup once a week, right? You sort of assemble a bunch of all your ingredients for chicken soup, and then you can throw it in freezer bags and throw it in the freezer. And all you have to, so maybe you make up 6 weeks in advance, right? You do that one Sunday, and then you've got 6 weeks of chicken soup that it's easy enough to make, okay? So you can do that. You can assemble all your ingredients. It's good for slow cooker freezer meals. It's good for, and these are meals that you can freeze after you cook. Instapot meals as well. And then chicken in marinade. So you can, if you're going to marinate some chicken, you can put that in the marinade and stick it in the freezer. And then all you have to do is, if you're going to just, cook it, take it out of the freezer and cook it in the oven. And there's a meal right there. And if you've got some, quinoa that you've cooked up or some beans, boom, there you go. And it saves you so much time, okay? But there's some tips for the crock pot. If you're trying to make a bunch of food that you can have, that you stick in the freezer and have for, 3 weeks or whatever, just make sure you double or triple up on the recipes, okay? So you've made enough to save yourself some time in the future. Leave out, if you're cooking like soups or stews, again, it's best to just kind of cut up the vegetables and stuff, and then you can leave the stock, or the milk, or coconut milk, or whatever it is you add, and add that in later when you start to cook. It saves some room too, I think, in the freezer bags. Potatoes are something that you don't want to cut up and stick in the freezer because they brown and they get kind of mushy. So I have a handout. I know the other groups don't have the handout. Joanna's going to send that to you. A handout on tips for vegetables. What can you do with vegetables? Can you freeze them? Are they not freezable? Do you have to cook them before you stick them in the freezer? But this is a great handout for that. And it goes over a bunch of different vegetables, from asparagus to broccoli to cauliflower to carrots to squash, peppers, things like that, okay? But this is a great handout to have in case you're wondering, well, what do I need to do with asparagus? Can I just throw asparagus in the freezer, or what do I have to do first? Do I have to cook it up, okay? So that's a good thing. And a website that I'm going to show you, I think, has also some great ideas on that as well. Anybody have any questions, comments so far? No? Okay. All right. So yeah, so it's a great recipe. Like I said, I'm gonna try that crock pot salsa recipe that looks so easy, and there's only like 4 ingredients to it, so it makes it easy and simple, and you don't have to worry about it all day. And then there's pre-cooked meals, which is, you know, like overnight oats. Chia seeds, has anybody ever like thrown chia seeds in some almond milk or regular milk and just stuck them in the refrigerator overnight?
Had it, I've never done it myself.
Yeah, I mean, the chia seeds are great. They really soak up all that liquid, and you can make like a pudding. They're also great in overnight oats. Chia seeds are great. They're a great filler. They got some fiber in them, and so it's, if you're making overnight oats and you want something that's really going to stick and it's going to kind of fill you up, chia seeds are a great thing to add. But that I thought was a really, really great recipe. The fruit on the bottom obviously is frozen. There's no sugar added. It's just fruit that was frozen at peak ripeness. So you're really cutting out a significant amount of sugar, which is a good, and then you've got the fiber and the protein from some of the other stuff. So it's a great overnight thing to make. Oftentimes when I travel, I used to make like one of those egg McMuffins. So you cook eggs, and then you put cheese on, or you put cheese on and then stick it on a English muffin, and then all you do is the next day nuke it. And I used to make a bunch of those, and I would have those as breakfast. And that saved me a lot of time when I was getting out the door at 5:30 in the morning. Okay, so use your creativity, right? I mean, I think once you really get into it, you can start to see, oh, I can add this and I can add this. And the more you look online, the more ideas you're going to get for what you can do to meal prep. And before you know it, you guys are going to be, pretty amazing chefs, right? I mean, I just in looking at some of the stuff, I was getting excited. I'm like, oh, what am I going to make this weekend? It really kind of helps. Instead of the boring old thing, there's a lot of ideas out there. Okay. So there's some meal prep on the bottom of that. There's some meal prep shortcuts. So you can also buy pre-cut and pre-washed vegetables to save yourself some time. Like squash, for example. Who wants to tackle a squash? An acorn squash? No, exactly. But you can buy that stuff in the grocery store, all cut up. Makes it easy. Okay. Another thing, you guys ever buy a rotisserie or pre-cut rotisserie chicken? That is so awesome because you can probably get, depending on the size you can get like 2 or 3 meals out of that. So you could probably have a little bit of chicken for a meal with some vegetables, then maybe a chicken salad for your next, and then maybe you could make a chicken soup. So you can really get, depending on how big it is, you can really get a good amount, and it saves you some time. You don't have to cook it. You don't have to get your oven all dirty. It's a great way to save some time, and obviously, they're pretty juicy. I mean, because of course they've been rotated in their own juices, but that's good. So again, use your slow cooker, okay? Or if you have a rice cooker, or if you have a pressure cooker, use those things to your advantage instead of cooking on the stovetop and always keeping an eye on that. These are things that you can just kind of set and go, okay? And then again, no-cook recipes. I'm all for no-cook recipes. I think they're great, I mean, like salads that you just kind of assemble and put together, and boom, there you go. Makes it easy, okay? Let's see. So what else? There's also, and I know I kind of touched base on this, but it's important when you're trying to be a little more creative with some of your meals, and so you've got one meal and you're trying to make it into something else. Make sure you're using herbs and spices. Make sure you're using salsa and pico de gallo, avocados, making guacamole and adding that. Mixing up some sour cream with a little bit of yogurt. That's a great thing to add to that. Hot sauces, sriracha. If you've got some boring quinoa and you want to spice it up, add something like that. Okay, to kind of spice it up. So you've got one plain, and then you've got like a Mexican style dinner the next. It's the same kind of food, you just spiced it up a little bit. Okay, Soy sauce, make it a little more Asian, or sesame oil. Those are things that are good too, if you're not allergic to anything like that, okay? But yeah, try some different options. I like tzatziki. Tzatziki sauce is also a great thing to kind of add to it. It's like a yogurt base with cucumbers. Yeah, it's really, you can buy tzatziki sauce in Hannaford, and that's another sauce that you can add to different things. Break it up a little bit. Yep. Okay. So making, like I said, tweaking those recipes is using the same ingredients, but just trying to make it different. Instead of adding chicken, you have turkey, or you add fish. Maybe you're making tacos, and you can add some of those things that you've all chopped up. Serve your proteins or grains on a different bread. Okay, so if it's like a regular whole grain bread versus I don't know, whole wheat versus like Ezekiel or something like that. Some wraps. Like I said, try like spaghetti squash also instead of pasta, instead of spaghetti as well. That's another great thing to add. And again, trying different sauces, okay? So I want to show you guys this website. Does anybody have any questions? No? Some of the information that I got for this presentation, some of the websites were, one was called Sweet Peas and Saffron, and she had a lot of great information about not only meal prep, but she had a lot of great recipes out there. One of the other websites was budgetbites.com, but there's so many, like I said, so many different websites out there. Website, there's a link to like planning, so you can, what's really cool about it is you can say, all right, I'm going to be cooking for 4 people, and then it asks you, okay, what do you want for protein, what do you want for a vegetable, what do you want for a grain, and you go through and pick a list, and then it gives you a shopping list about how much you need for that. And then along that lines, it'll say, okay, here's what you can do. So you've already got your meal basically picked out. But then it says, okay, well, for the next meals, you can make this. Like if you have picked beans, then you can make black bean burgers, or you can add beans to a burger. And then, so it gives you 3 different recipes to use that ingredient, which is really nice. That's what I thought was really pretty cool about the website. It's also got what to do with vegetables. You know, I gave you that list of vegetables that, you know, depending on, you know, like I said, if you wanted to use cauliflower, what do you use? Ricing cauliflower is a great way to kind of add it in soups and stews and things like that. Or if you want to cut down on your starch and you don't want a rice, you can actually rice cauliflower, okay?
I've done that,
Yeah.
That was an eye-opening thing. You take a cauliflower and just grate it up, and it becomes so much like rice you can hardly tell the difference.
Yeah, and you can either use like a cheese grater, or you can stick it in a food processor and do the same thing, as long as you don't over shred it too much. And you can even squeeze out some of the liquid in there too as well. There's also, an interactive storage guide, and it's basically like an encyclopedia on how to store your food, okay? Based on, you know, whether you can stick it in the freezer, or how long you can store it in the refrigerator, what you can do to vegetables. Obviously, it's a bigger list than what I gave you, but I thought there was some great information, on there. But savethefood.com, and then it's got some recipes on there as well. And I think what's great, like I said, is the whole plan is to reduce food waste. So it gives you an idea of how much you want to, who you're cooking for, what you need for your recipe, and what you can make with leftovers. Okay. Well, I'm sorry I couldn't show you guys the website. Because it really, but again, savethefood.com I think is a pretty helpful website to use. okay? I think I covered a good amount of stuff that you can even find online. And it's really, you know, everybody has their own sort of, at least all these bloggers all have their same idea, but I think it comes down to the fact that, A, you want to have a plan of what you're gonna do. Pick what food, whether breakfast, lunch, or dinner that you want. And then, again, where you're just kind of learning this process, start small, don't go overboard, okay? You don't want to overwhelm yourself, but if it's, you know, start with, like you said, lunch, so figure out how you want to make each lunch a little bit different. Maybe you want to have quinoa all night, all week long, but then you make your quinoa dishes a little bit different, okay? Something like that. But picking something easy to do and then kind of go from there. For you that said you struggle with variety and you get bored, what do you think? Do you think with some of the tips that I gave you, you think you've got a different kind of way to go about your meals? Okay.
I think I need to make less than what I'm making now,
Okay.
and just do variety based on the main thing that I eat.
Okay. So doing like a batch cook of something and then changing each recipe each day,
Mhm.
so that you're not cooking a whole. It might save you some time on the weekends too. Yeah. Okay. What else? Comments? Questions? You guys feel more confident now that you can try? Yeah. And these things, I got these on Target. I got these at Target, but you can find them probably anywhere. And again, you can buy them in glass. You want to look for. I didn't touch base on this. You want to avoid the ones that have the BPA in them. Okay, BPA is the can cause.
They even still make those?
I think they do, or if you have old ones, yeah. But you want to avoid the ones that are the seven in the triangle, okay? But again, dishwasher, microwave, freezer safe is what you typically want to go for, okay? Okay, what else? Any other questions? I think we lost all the other groups. Comments? Anybody?
Thank you. The recipes look good. I'm excited to try a couple of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The heat is pretty good.
they do. And the overnight oats, I'm gonna try that.
Yes, I've seen that one. Yep,
I got a
minimalist.
lot of good recipes from that.
Yeah.
They're all vegetarian recipes. Minimalist baker.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there's some
They're all made to
some.
be easy, like less than 10 ingredients.
Yeah, and there's a lot of great websites out there that require very easy recipes. It's not gonna take a lot of time. I mean, if you're anything like me, it's too many ingredients and too many steps, just is overwhelming and I don't wanna do it, so. So yeah, so pick something easy to start, and then you can branch off and do breakfast and dinner, or breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and spend a whole day cooking, and then you've got a lot of different things. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. You're welcome.